And here they come, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Yes. Good to see all of your smiling faces. Happy Tuesday for all of my American buddies. Welcome back from hopefully a wonderful Memorial weekend, celebrating this amazing country that we get the chance to live in and all the sacrifices that have been made. And welcome back to another amazing campfire. If you would please, it's always much better and a lot more fun when you turn on your cameras. So that our great presenters and presenter today, a good buddy of mine, gets a chance to see your faces, right? Gets a chance to interact with you. So turn them on, turn them on, turn them on. So, and there we go. So today, oh man, like Sergio and I, like, you know, there's those individuals that you meet. You get the chance to be able to connect with them, and you know something's evolving. And Sergio and I have gotten the chance to be able to stay connected. You know, like when did we meet? Like a couple of years ago, and a
couple years ago,
yeah, a couple of years ago, and you know, started doing some stuff together, and just every single time that I get the chance to be able to actually spend some time with Sergio, I learned something new. Like I didn't know that he breeds Spanish horses, and we were just sort of apologize for the 1 minute delay in getting you guys in here, but we were busy BSing about his horse breeding business that he has, and just I love men and women that are serial entrepreneurs that take incredible like models of success and apply it to multiple different businesses. Obviously, primary business that Sergio has is VOOV, which is, in our opinion, the #1 premier virtual assistant company in the world. You know, I love what you guys have put together, you know, in turn, because you're always worried about, like, is my VA working? Or are they not working? Am I getting the most out of them, et cetera? And you guys have really solved that challenge, that dilemma. So, like, really good ups on you guys. You know, has real estate team. Where are you guys? You guys are up in Virginia? Is that right? Yeah,
yes.
in Virginia.
In Virginia.
So, you know, always love that it isn't just some VA company that had this idea of let's provide agents, you know, bodies. They solved it for themselves. They saw a need in the marketplace, expanded that from their own personal experience. And Sergio, what are we taking them through? What are you taking them through today, man? Like, what is the
absolutely.
what's the
So,
intent?
thank you, Bill, for the kind introduction. I want to give also a little bit of introduction about myself. I'm Sergio Tiffer. I have multiple businesses from a team, also a property management company. I own a storage company as well. We have VOOV virtual assistants. I have a home flipping company as well in Virginia. I breed horses. So I have, I think, a total of about 8 businesses. Some are smaller, some are bigger. I'm originally from Panama, Central America. I grew up in Europe and the United States and also Central America. I've been down here in Nicaragua where I have the headquarters of VOOV Virtual Assistants for over 4 years now. I visit United States strategically probably 3 or 4 times a year when I go to Bill events, when I go to other friends events as well. So I have been able to create this infrastructure around me mostly because I have a virtual assistant company, but anyone can do it essentially. So what I want to walk through you guys today is how to scale your business without sacrificing time and your peace of mind, essentially. We call it the 80/20 strategy. It's how to scale your business infinitely and also how to ingrain different ancillary businesses that you may have. For smaller or bigger businesses, it doesn't really matter. As long as you're following an infrastructure and a strategy behind it, everything is possible. That's what I want to do today. All right, good. Well, again, I call this the 80/20 strategy. Is how to empower your business through growth and efficient delegation. It's very important to always have a vision about every business that you're creating. And I understand, and it's very, very, very important that we define that at the beginning, you're going to be the CEO, you're going to be the HR manager, you're going to be the CEO. It doesn't really matter as long as you understand that you have to get out of those positions soon enough, then everything's going to be fine. The moment we think that we are the best ones, are doing everything, and no one else can do it for us, that's where we're going to fail. Okay? It's very important to mention that. Now, all right. So I want to start here real quick. Today, I just want to emphasize on two businesses because they are the biggest ones. I have on one end the VOOV virtual assistant company, and on the right hand, I have the home flipping company. Now, as Bill mentioned at the beginning of the call, I also have a team. I don't want to focus on that for a simple reason because I believe that we all need help, and usually team leaders are very, very focused on doing everything themselves, right? When you have other type of operations, manufacturing, service providers, whatever it is, those companies are more traditional in creating layers of operations and creating infrastructure. Okay. So on VOOV, I want to focus, or I wanted to focus at the beginning when I created on very specific things. I'm a salesperson naturally. Okay. So right now, what I'm doing in VOOV is I focus on lead management, sales. If you ever need a VA, you're going to talk to me on the VOOV side. I'm the only one doing sales. I do the conversions. I do LMA, which is lead management and accountability. I drive the technological innovation of the company. On the sold lease side of things, which is the home flipping company, I oversee the agent relationships, meaning when they bring buyers, when they bring sellers. I also manage all the offers. I negotiate every term of every offer. These are high level responsibilities, what I call it, right? And I ensure the quality of the seller buyer interaction, meaning, we have checklists for the quality of the flips. We ensure that also the buyers, they go through a very specific process with us. We when we put the property on the market, the way the staging is, the way the landscaping is, we have all of our what you may call it, all of the HVAC, plumbing, certifications, all of that, it's in front of them, so they have no hesitation and no doubt for buying one of our properties. And again, the reason why I want to focus on these two properties because I want to ensure that we get and we touch the two biggest enterprises that I have and the enterprises that have the most opportunity for scalability. Now, numbers wise, I'm flipping about 40 to 50 properties a year on the sold list side of things. That's a lot for someone that I probably spend maybe an hour and a half a week on sold list, right? And then on the VOOV side of things, we have over 200 VAs now. I'm spending about an hour and a half a day on this enterprise. So both of these enterprises are bringing over, $3 million in revenue profit wise. I'm not talking about gross revenue. Okay. So profit wise, these two enterprises are bringing over $3 million in revenue. Now, just to give you guys a little background on how I started this. So I started with the team probably 7, 8 years ago. We were using VAs in the Philippines for some reason, and not to say anything wrong about the Philippine VAs, I did not like it because sometimes it was the accent, sometimes it was the time difference. They're working 2, 3 in the morning. I felt that they were getting burned out quickly after maybe 8 months, a year. Um, for some reason, Philippines has been hit with a lot of natural disasters, tornadoes, typhoons, I mean, you name it. So, because I'm originally from Panama, we decided to start or trying VAs in Central America. And at some point, we said, well, we have all these enterprises. At that point, I already have sold these as a home flipping company. I said, why not? Let's just start offering these VAs to all of our colleagues in the real estate industry. And granted, I didn't know anything about VAs at that point. I mean, I know how to manage them, but I knew zero about how to offer VAs. And it's been the most complex enterprise I ever got into, to be quite honest, because every single VA, so every team that I have as a client has probably 3 or 4 VAs. So you have a lot of clients that are constantly going through, ups and downs, that they need to fire people, they need to hire people, they need to train, retrain. So it's been a very challenging business. So I decided that I could only do this enterprise if I was able to do very specific things on it and nothing more, nothing less. Of course, I started doing everything myself, but soon enough, I started adding people into the layer of operations. Now, what I use in all my businesses is what we call the law of comparative advantage, which is I do what I do best and I delegate the rest. We also call it the Ricardo's law. And it's mostly used for countries. You know, if a country produces gas, if they have natural resources in another country, like the United States, they have better services. So you sell and you buy. So you sell where you do best and you buy where you cannot do. So that way you get the highest return on your purchase or on your sale. So you can apply that as well into businesses. Essentially, you need to create, and this is what I tell all my clients, you need to create a list of all the duties and all the tasks that you do in a single month, every single one of them. And then you need to assign a specific dollar amount to every one of those tasks. And whatever you know that it's 50, 60, $70 or less has to be delegated. Now, it doesn't mean that it has to be delegated immediately. It means that you know it has to be delegated at some point, right? Because the leader's primary responsibility is to define the what is the outcome. What are the goals that I have as a company? What is the culture that I want to have in my company? How far I want to take it? Do I want it as a boutique company? Do I want it as a big enterprise? And that's your primary goal, nothing else, nothing more. As you start bringing people into the equation, they have to define how they're going to do it. You have to present them with your ideas. You have to present them with your goals. You have to present them with the culture that you want to ingrain in your company, and they have to figure out how to do it. Of course, using your input, using your feedback, but primarily they have to define how. They're there to make you look great. That's all they have to do, right? Now, we call it the 80-20 Donna split, meaning 20% of it is strategy and goals, is how you focus as a leader, and you should be spending more than 20% of your time on this. And the rest is execution and deployment, team focus. So in my companies, I use one system for every one of those companies called EOS, right? So we have a very structured cadence of meetings, very structured way of doing things. So we meet on every Monday in one of the companies and every Tuesday in the other companies, right? And then we spend an hour to an hour and a half and we go over pending tasks. Then we go over KPIs. And every single one of the managers need to have a very specific KPIs that they are responsible for. Why? Because if everyone has the same KPI, then no one is responsible for it. So in my VA company, I'm responsible for appointments met. And every Monday, I have to tell my team, this is how many appointments I've met. This is how many appointments I've set. This is the fail rate that I have. And this is how many appointments became a contract. And then for everyone, they need to have at least one KPI. Even our secretary, even our front desk lady has a KPI. Even the security guard that we have outside. So everyone in the company needs to have a KPI. Then we also go over issues because what happens is I've not seen this with leaders all the time, they go into meetings without an instructor, and then you start talking about 100 things, and then really nothing gets to a conclusion. You get lost in the weeds. You know, you're discussing an issue, but then no one assigns solution to it. So we spend the majority of our meetings, probably an hour plus, discussing the issues of the company. And if you feel that you're not having enough issues, probably it's a good idea that you do your meetings on a biweekly cadence because in every meeting you need to have issues to discuss and solve. We assign a very specific person to the issue per se, and that person is responsible for solving it. And if it's something that cannot be solved in 1 or 2, maybe 3 weeks, then it needs to become what we call a rock. That is a quarterly project. Because that's another of the problems that I've seen with leaders that they believe that everything can be solved in 1 or 2 weeks, and that's not the case. Sometimes you're gonna have to strategize, think, rethink, try it out, and those become more of rocks. Okay. Then you need to have structure meetings. They need to be on the same day, on the same time, no matter what, unless you're in the hospital. Everyone needs to have a KPIs. Issues have to be discussed every week, if not bi-weekly, and they have to be solved. Then you need to have quarterly meetings. You need to have yearly meetings. And the quarterly meetings they cannot be random. They have to be specific to move the needle upon the goals that you set on your yearly meeting. I'm going to give you an example. So I wanted to have at least 50 new contracts signed by the end of the year on my last meeting. That's what I said on the VOOV side of things. So every quarterly meeting that we do has to be focused on the strategy behind how we execute that, how we get to the point where at the end of the year we have 50 contracts signed. Um, Now, this is the part where it gets funny. What the dilemma is, do I want to have a boutique path, which is I want to run a very small but ultra efficient company to secure the maximum personal freedom and high quality time? Or I want to have the scaling path, which is I want to build a large enterprise machine that buys back my time to develop multiple independent companies, which is the path that I took. No one is going to be able to decide this for you, and you have to be very clear about that. And that has to be from the right from the get-go. You have to decide what is it that you want to do. Because if you want to have a very small boutique company, then the people that you're going to hire to run that boutique company need to have that type of mentality. One of the biggest, I would say, advantages of leaders is to know your people, know what motivates them, if they want to grow or they want to stay small, if they want to have a family or rather they want to stay single. All of those things matter when you're finding the people that is going to be running things side by side with you. Again, in my case, I decided that I want to do the scaling path because I cannot just be, I mean, I need to have multiple things that push me forward all the time. Okay. So this is how we do it. Again, in order for have a, and I'm gonna focus on the one that I did, which is the scaling path. You have to do an inventory that I mentioned before. It's called the Ricardo's law or law of comparative advantage, which is you have to have an inventory of all the tasks that the company per se, has on a weekly, monthly basis. And you have to document every micro task across all of your companies. You also have to put SOPs together so that there is no doubt of how things have to be evaluated. Now, we also have to remember that every week and every month and every year, you're going to have different situations. But as long as you have a good framework where you people can operate, you can go on a vacation for 2 weeks and they know that they're going to be able to make a decision based on the SOPs that are created. And another very important factor of this is your values. I always tell my people, you have to make decisions based on the values of the company. If I'm not around, if I'm sick, if I'm at an event, if I am at a summit and I'm not available to help you make the decision, you are free to make the decision. Just use the values of the company. And you can have values for a small shop of 2 employees, or you can have values for a company that has 100,000 plus employees. Then you have to, again, I mentioned this before, you have to assign a value and an analysis of value to every single task that you have. It's a very specific ROI, so you understand and you know if this is a task that you have to do yourself or if this can be assigned to someone else, right? And then you find your specialist, which is this is the most important part, is to identify the ideal candidate to handle the execution of that specific task. So how I do it, it's very simple, is I do UC, right? I demonstrate you how to do it under a standard of excellence. We're going to do it for a few months. You're going to ask me all the questions that you need to ask me. You're going to put the SOP together. You're going to create a checklist. Then you do, I see it. I'm going to give you constant feedback of everything you're doing. Granted, this is probably a 3 or 4 or 5 month crawling process, right? I'm going to supervise everything that you're doing. You're going to execute, and I'm going to give you immediate feedback. And then finally, you do, and then you report to me with full autonomy based on the SOPs, based on the structure that we have that we've been operating for several months. It's very important that we understand again as leaders that not everyone is going to do things perfect. And yes, they're going to be fuck ups. Things are going to happen where, the company is going to go sideways a little bit and it's understandable. I've seen many of my clients that they do believe that is the end of the world when one of their VAs does something incorrect. It's not. I'm going to give you a quick example on the flipping side of things on Soldies. I took a 22-year-old, just graduated lady with zero construction experience, with zero management experience. I mean, she had a management degree, but I saw the potential in her, and I taught her how to flip houses from beginning to end in a matter of 6 months. And I always tell this story because I remember one time she we had a house, right, that it didn't need an HVAC unit. And she went ahead and called the GC, put in the report that the house needed an HVAC. And she went ahead and contacted our HVAC guy and requested a quote on the HVAC. And we changed a brand new unit for a brand new unit. It cost me about probably $12,000, right? But it wasn't the end of the world. Like if this was with anyone else, she'd probably been fired. So I told her, look, you can never trust 100% what the GC is saying. They're going to make mistakes sometimes. So you have to double check and triple check with the person that is giving you the quote. So what we're going to do now is we're going to create an extra step in the SOP where you verify that the main systems are indeed in need of exchange, right? Gone. We put that unit in another flip, but it's not the end of the world. I mean, and those type of mistakes are going to happen if you expect to have a large enterprise. Things like that are always going to happen. Now,
Decision
quick
of the
video of how I
resident
run the
citizen
things.
from VOOV. But again, she still said that we only have one. But when I talked to you, you said we have two, potentially three.
All of them this week, but the rest of it.
Because then if we try to get four and then only one's going to faint, why? If they say no, we'll say, hey, you're going to have to wait another 2 weeks. To do this piece and other stuff.
That's perfect.
How you doing, Bill? Dude, I'm rocking and rolling.
Tom, thank you for being here. I appreciate it.
Michael, to the ones that don't know you,
Art Carney, it's a pleasure to have you here on the show. Thank you for joining us. How you doing, brother? It's been a hot minute. You're looking good.
Bill, welcome back. It's been 6 months since the last time I saw you.
It's super hard when the market was difficult. Their team or their brokerage, and sometimes it's very hard to visualize. Then I'll see you guys at the campfire event.
Always grateful for you to come in and to be able to share.
It's going to 10x your enterprise. I'll be seeing you on May 26th to share the secrets of the 80-20 rule and how you can delegate to elevate your business.
the ones that don't know, I also have a podcast, by the way.
Do you know what I love? Do you know what I love, brother? Is seeing my old partners. I mean, I love seeing Tom. I mean, like that. Great minds think alike, and Shep and myself and Ferry, man. Like, there's a reason we're all partnered with you. You know what I mean? There's purpose.
Yes.
You know, and I love that. You know, it makes me really, really
I wanted to show that podcast because these are all, I don't have any say in how things are organized behind it. You know, my guys they send the invites, they set the stage, they send, you know, even the infrastructure of the podcast. So I've been very blessed. Probably I'm very good at it. I don't know which one it is, of finding good people. But as I mentioned before, this is what I call operational mastery. Is first, you need to have a very scheduled weekly, quarterly, and annual sessions. You need to ensure that you delegate and that you trust. Of course, you do it through the crawl. It's called the crawl, phase, which is you do, I see, you. Yeah, I'm sorry. I do, you see, you do, I see, and then you do, and then you report, right? And then this is what I call the run phase. You know, I also run a podcast. I have a horse business. I have an agricultural business. You know, I have all these enterprises, and I put key people in all of them. And to a certain degree, it's not that I fully and 100% trust what they're doing, but they have an SOP, they have infrastructure, they have checklists, they have values, and we have cadence on everything that we do. And I was showing you guys, you know, the quality of the podcast. This is all done by my VAs. I have no credit in this. You know, I really, which want to say that I do, but I don't. Now, it's very important that you also pick tools and systems of how you're going to manage your companies. In my world, I use Asana for everything that I do. It helps me create templates and checklists for everything that I do. Now, I wanna real quick, if you guys don't mind, I want to share with you guys some of the platforms that I use to control my companies. Just give me 1 second. This one, okay. All right, this one was a CRM that was created by one of my VAs. This is for the home flipping company. So we can see here, for example, I'm going to put it since a couple weeks behind. So I can see everything here from beginning to end, how many leads we receive, how many leads we approach, how many inspections we set, how many inspections we met, how many offers we sent, nothing didn't send, how many offers we sent, how many offers get accepted, how many homes we purchased. This is in the last 2 months, right? These are all the properties that we inspect, and this was created by a VA, right? I'm paying this guy probably 20% of what someone in the US can make. Um, and every single one of the lead sources that we have and how much money we spend on every one of them. I can see everything from here. And we use follow boss mostly to track all of our leads in the home flipping company, which is it's funny because it's usually for agents interactions and whatnot, but and for other type of leads. But we do it through follow boss, right? I can see the inventory, how much money we have invested in the last 2 months, everything. All this was created through the people that run the company. I know, granted that I help them. We also do ads, how much impressions, how many impressions we have, the conversions, the cost. So everything it's here. This is for the home flipping company, right? Um, Now I'm gonna show you then what I use for the VOOV side of things. This was created also by my team. It tells me, for example, I go here, how many sales calls I had, how many contracts were signed in the last 2 weeks. Um, I can see also what are the clients that are pending, meaning that they haven't yet picked their VA. I can see the times, their names. If I go to clients, I know exactly what's happening with every one of my clients. If they're active, I can go in here and see then, what kind of VAs they have, how much money they're paying for their VAs, if they have VAs in marketing, in ISAs and whatnot. I can also see my associates, every one of them. I can see the associates in VA, or I can pick it. For example, if I want to know if they work mm, from home, then I know the VAs that work from home, right? All this was created internally by my team. So I didn't use any technology or any CRM that was created by anyone else except for Followball. I think it's the only one, right? Um, this one, I'm going to show you now another one. I love this one because I know a lot of people love ISA. So how to control ISA. So this is a scorecard that I use for my ISAs. I have many ISAs. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ISAs for my home flipping company. So here I can see if they adhere to their SOP. So 100% of them they did. Performance by type, if they make all their calls, if they made all of their texts, I can see if they perform all of their tasks. So that way I don't have to be listening to every single freaking call they make. The system tracks that and does it all by itself, right? I can see their average performance. I can see every single lead that they have touched in the last actually it's the last week, right? So all of this was created because Bill, to a certain degree, I trusted my guys with, you know, creating this. I trusted that they were going to perform and do the best for themselves and for my company. So for example, in Asana, my primary function is to task and track the workflow, all the automations, and that's been managed by my internal managers and by myself. The CRM dashboards that I have is to, manage the leads and the reporting of the sales. That's mostly for my virtual assistants. And also, you saw the one for the home flipping company. I use them to see every single lead. So it's very important that you have. What I'm trying to say with this, to be more specific, is it's very important that you have a way to track all your sales on a heartbeat. You should be able to see the health of your company in 5 minutes. If you're in Paris, if you're in Rome, wherever you are, you should be able to pull your computer, and in 5 minutes, what's your company doing. That's the best way to define it. Okay. Now, I love this part. It's called the blue ocean part, and I use this for all my companies as well. So I want to ensure that because everyone that is with me, I call them lions. They wanna lead, they want to grow, they want to make money, they want to keep moving forward. So I have to ensure as a leader that I'm keeping them very motivated. And the only way to keep them motivated is for them to understand that there's going to be growth, unlimited growth. And unlimited growth creates a career path for them and for yourself as well. So that's going to prevent talent turnover. And I've told this to many of my clients in the past. I said, look, you lost your VA because you didn't have a growth path. I said to them, I'm paying my manager, the one that manages your VA, less money than what you were paying your VA. You cannot tell me that your VA left because of money, because my manager has been with me for longer and he knows that VA makes more money than him, but he is here because he knows he's going to make much more and he has a career path. He has a growth path. He understands that he's part of something bigger, that he is somewhere where he can shine. So you have to establish 5 to 10 year goals to ensure the company is constantly moving forward to an on-tap market. And it's mostly because also you want to motivate yourself. If you are at the very top of your game, you're going to feel invincible. And if you believe that you're invincible, someone else is going to demonstrate that you're not eventually. So for the ones that don't know what the strategy is, it's called the blue ocean strategy, which is you need to have unlimited growth strategies for an open and undefined opportunities. You need to have a unique offering that stand out, and you need to create new markets. Even if you have a team, there are many, many ways to create new markets. On the other hand, you have the red oceans, which is crowded and they're well defined, where growth is very limited. You have very similar products to everyone else. You're focusing and competing on pricing, and you're competing on existing markets. So for everything that we're doing, we're trying to push through markets where there's untapped demand. Okay. And then we have what we call the infinite chain of command, meaning I am the visionary, I am the founder. Do I want to stay as a CEO or not? If I just want to stay as a visionary and as a founder, then I have to start creating tiers of management. First, you have your tier one, which is the strategy deployment. You call it CEOs, COOs, CFOs. Then you have your tier two, which is the process enforcement. Those are probably HR managers. Those are, IT managers and so forth. And then you have your execution and your soldiers, right? And then that tier of, that chain of command is infinite. You can add as many people as needed forever. That doesn't have, no one can tell you how many people you need. Only you know your company. Good. I think I really wanted to, I was telling Bill that I really wanted to focus on the question side of things because everyone has different businesses. You may have a property management company, you may have a title company, you may have a team, you may have a brokerage. I have probably all of those businesses, but I really wanted to focus on the question part of things because I want to make sure that I address as many people directly as possible and spend the next 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes if needed, if Bill allows that to happen, answering all the questions. For some reason, I cannot hear you, Bill.
Oh, I got to use there we go. Now we can see everybody and now you guys can hear me. So first of all, brother, crash course in scaling. I want to, amazing. And I've got my notes. I was actually doing 2 pages of notes because I've got what I'm taking away and what I'm implementing with the team as well too. We see the end result of what you've built. A lot of the individuals that are on this call right now are like that single agent. Maybe they have an assistant, maybe they don't, etc. Take us through, if you would, what you think. And they're probably like 20 to 30 transactions a year, doing it on their own or doing it with an assistant.
Yes.
Take us through the growth process that you see as necessary for them to be able to start to navigate more into that CEO role.
It's very simple. There's going to have to be some sacrificing. And I always tell this to my clients. I know, if you're making 20, 30 transactions a year, you have a very comfortable life. You're probably making, $250,000, $300,000, maybe, somewhere there, right? You need to understand that if you want to make it to half a mil or a mil, your immediate income is going to be reduced because you're going to have to bring help. That's the first step. You need to understand that you're going to have to pay for help. Now, if you are a single agent that is producing 20, 30 transactions, you want to make it to 50, 75 transactions. All you have to do is going into showings, prospecting, and meeting new clients. That's all you need to be doing. Nothing else, nothing more. So you need to create a list of all the things that you do, and then you need to bring help, and start giving them all the tasks that they need to perform. And it has to get to a point, 6, 8 months, where your assistant, call it in-house or call it VA, whatever that person is doing 90% of the work that you used to do in the past. And all you're doing is prospecting, all you're doing is going into showings, and all you're doing is going to events, social events, whatever is it, whatever way is it that you're getting your leads from, that's all you got to be doing. As soon as someone signs, there's a process for customer service, of course, and then it goes to the assistant, and it's very important that you maintain the front communication, right? That you are the person that they remember, that you are the person that they thank for once the transaction has been closed, so that they can refer new business to you in the future. So it's very important that you have availability of time in order to make that happen, because the majority of the single agents, solo agents that I know that are producing 50, 75 transactions a year, they get a big portion of it through referrals. Why? Because they're focusing on the customer service aspect of the transaction. But the problem is that, and I understand it's difficult. We have families, we have kids, we have to pay school, medical bills and whatnot. And it's difficult to say, okay, I'm going to pay $20,000, $30,000 a year for help. Or if you want it in-house, I'm going to pay, $60,000, $50,000 a year for help. Now, personally, and it is not because I have a virtual assistant company, I do not recommend any solo agent to have someone in-house. It just makes zero sense. I don't have a single person in-house for any of my big producer agents in the United States. Because from those 26 agents that I have probably 7 that are rock stars, and they all have assistants, and all of their assistants are VAs. And these guys are producing 50, 75, $100 million a year by themselves, right? With no other help than just one person. Now they're very comfy where they are. They probably don't want to grow bigger than that, but I think it's a good life. I mean, they're making 50, $75 million in production a year.
Darn, I'm stuck at 50 million, right? So it's a good place to be stuck. Guys, I want to open it up to Serge right now, Sergio, for you guys. So I'm sure you got questions, Greg, about steps to take, SOPs, how important they are, whatever it is, right? I mean, you've got literally, I think, one of the best, most insightful individuals when it comes to scalability in the world right now, specifically in the space of real estate. So he's all yours, guys. Okay, jump on in.
Where do I see the questions though? Because they're all muted.
Let's go here.
In the chat?
I've got a question.
Yeah, please, Pepe.
How do you communicate with your outsourcing administrative assistant? Is it by Zoom, email, or is it by WhatsApp?
I do all of those. So actually, the primary way that I communicate with all my assistants is through Asana, because then I don't have a perfect memory. So, every task that they have to perform, they have to create a very specific report in Asana so that I can remember exactly what is it that we're discussing. Now, I use WhatsApp for emergencies, and I use Zoom for our scheduled meetings. So I do 1 or 2 meetings per week with all of them, with the key players. I use Asana for 80% of the communication, and WhatsApp or Ring Central, I use any of those for emergencies. Hey, a pipe broke in one of our houses, or we have to send a quote immediately. There's a contract that needs to be sent, something like that it requires immediate attention. Otherwise, we shouldn't be communicating through Ring Central or Asana. WhatsApp ever, unless it's just an emergency. Now, of course, they're going to have questions throughout the week. They can always send you a text. They can always send you an email. But normally I tell them that all of their issues have to be presented to me on a weekly basis. So on that hour, 2 hours that we have, they come with all of their issues, and then we mastermind it, we strategize it, we brainstorm it, we find a solution, we assign a task to someone. Doesn't necessarily has to be them that is going to resolve the issue that they're having. It can be myself. Many times I have assigned tasks to myself, things that I need to resolve for my VAs, for example. And this is a very good example. 2 weeks ago, one of the VA that is controlling the flipping company said, we're having a lot of issues where the credit card has been declined for fraud alerts. Talked to the company many times, and they're not frauds. They keep denying, the charges. So I said, okay, well, the only way we can solve this is by bringing another credit card. And the only person that can do that is me. So I assign a task for myself to speak to another credit card provider to bring a secondary card, things like that, right? The majority of the issues, if your company is having emergencies on a daily basis, there's something wrong. The majority of the issues can wait a week or two. So I encourage them to bring all of their issues on a weekly basis so we can strategize it properly and have at least 1 or 2 hours to go over all of those things.
What are the two systems you communicate? I think you said Sana?
Asana is ASANA is a task manager. It's like Monday.com, Trello, Asana. It's very similar. All of those three are very similar. I prefer Asana because of its simplicity. Some people like Monday.com a lot. I know a lot of people that use that one. But it's essentially a task manager, and it allows you to create templates. For example, when you have a new listing, right, you can have pre-made templates for a new listing that you just created, and then Asana assigns a task to your VAs automatically with all the steps that they need to follow, right? So I know a lot of people in the past used to use Loop for transactions or Brockermans, all of this, but now I know a lot of people that use Asana for doing the TC.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Other questions? Hop on in. Questions on how to manage, questions on how to be able to hire, right? I think, hey, Sergio, I've had that question. Obviously, one of the easiest ways for them to be able to hire is to actually work with you guys, and that's not a shameless plug. It is what it is. But at the same time, what have you found to be the mistakes and the solutions to this whole hiring process, whether it's virtual or in person?
Well, it doesn't really matter. You just need to have a structure to hire. So I'm going to share the structure that I use to hire. So all of our candidates have to present a cognitive ability test. All of them have to present also a DISC personality assessment test. Depending on the position, we already have questions regarding the studies they have, right? Like if they're going to be TCs or operation assistant is in my back. Oh yeah, it's right there. It's right there. Sorry guys, my computer's dying. So cognitive ability test, this personality assessment test, they need to have college education, and they usually have to go through rounds of interviews. So the first one is with yourself, and I always encourage anyone to have a second interview with someone else that is not you, because you can have biases. As a person, we all have biases, of course. So it's very important that you get a second opinion on the person that you're interviewing. In our case as well, we also called their previous employer. I don't know if that's possible in every state in the United States, but like in Central America, that's super easy to do. You can call their previous employer and they can give you a reference of, everything they did in the past. So for us, it's easy to do that. Okay. And then finally, we always recommend some sort of tests. Now, is that bulletproof? No, but it's important that if you overthink the hiring process, it's never going to be perfect. It doesn't matter what you do. There is always going to be a hole in the vest. You're always going to find someone that is gonna fool you and is going to present all the good results, and at the end of the day, it's not going to work out. It's very important that you recognize that soon enough and you fire the person quickly. But if you have a structure, like for example, I'm just giving you the one that I use for all the candidates that we do. 90% of the time, they're great. The problem is the majority of the people get lost in the weeds of, if someone goes through it and doesn't perform at the level that you wanted, it's the end of the world. It's not the end of the world. Like I'm not afraid of losing someone. It doesn't matter who it is. It can be my CFO. It can be my CEO, my COO of any company. I don't care because I have the right structure behind it, the right SOPs. Anyone in the future can overtake that. As long as you register everything that you do correctly, yes, you're going to go through a pain process. It's going to suck. Yeah, but so what? I mean, that happens everywhere. If you think you're going to go in business for 25 years and you're never going to lose a key element, shouldn't be in business then. And because I'm not afraid of losing people, it's probably why they don't quit that easily. Because when they have the power over you, they know they can outmaneuver you, but no one can outmaneuver me and my companies. They're free to go anytime they want. But they know, and I don't rehire, by the way. So we don't have a revolving door in the company. I'd never rehire. So once they're gone for good. I never allow them to come back because at that point they made their mind, right? They decided to go somewhere else.
What is, I'm going to ask another question, then I'll turn it over. What's up, JB? Justin, good to see you, brother. Always great to see you. What is, you said you've held people at, not held, but you've got people in positions that stay in positions because even at a lower pay model. And I'd love to hear
Yes.
about that. Like, what is it that you think makes that possible to be able to actually
So when
have
I
lower compensation?
when I'm hiring them, one of the first things that I ask them, and I know this is difficult in the United States, but I can ask those kind of questions down here is, do you want to have a family? Do you live with your parents or do you live by yourself? How do you envision yourself in the next 3 or 4 years? Do you want to have your own house? Do you want to have your own car? What motivates you? Do you want to have kids? You don't want to have kids. Like I go through a lot of personal questions, and I know it sucks because you cannot make those in the United States. But then with that, I have enough information to know what motivates them. Personal freedom, money, power, recognition, and then you once you know, then you have them for good. Then they're never going to leave. I mean, it's super difficult because then you really know who they are and what they want, and then you just lean on it and you just give them that, and then say, hey, if you do this, for example, recognition, they want the title. They want to have the power to manage people. They want the title. They want the recognition, and then you just lean on it. And if they have the potential, that's what you go for. But when you have that kind of information, you can do it. And again, I know it sucks because you cannot do it in the United States
But we
sometimes.
can do it once we hire, right? Like once they're hired, we can have that conversation with them about what they want and how it is that they want and what drives them, et cetera. We just can't utilize it in the
But it's
hiring
very important that
process.
you connect with every one of your people at a personal level. Because as leaders, we forget that there are people as well, and they're never is going to care about your company more than yourself. No one's going to do it. Just you. We have to understand that as leaders that this is our baby. It's our company. No one's going to care about our baby more than ourselves. So it's very important that you understand what they care about. So then you can move them accordingly.
Incredible.
And that's why, doing my one-on-ones with my people, because I have scheduled meetings, but I also have one-on-ones individually with a lot of them. I usually like to spend at least 10, 15 minutes connecting with them on a personal level. What they did last
How
week,
often
with
is
their
that? Is
day
that once a month?
weekly.
Is that
Weekly.
weekly?
I
Okay.
meet with them weekly. Yeah. Weekly for 30 to 45 minutes. I like to speak, for at least 10 minutes on a personal level. What they did. Did they go out for partying? Have they met anyone new? How are their parents? Whatever is it. So that way I always stay connected with them and I know everything that is happening in their lives. And believe it or not, I mean, they open a lot. I think, I'm not going to say that they're all my friends. Some of them have become friends and throughout this process, but a lot of them, they do appreciate the fact that I'm trying to connect with them on a personal level. And that's one of the things that a lot of leaders forget, that this end of the day, they're people and they need that connection as well. At least with your key people. You're not going to have one-on-ones with every single employee in the company, but with your key people, it's very important that you connect with them on a personal level and you understand what's happening in their lives. And a lot of people will say, well, not everyone likes to talk about their personal life. That's BS. I haven't found a single person that doesn't want to open up for a quick 10 minutes, 5 minutes on a personal level with someone that they see every single day.
Leanne, Miss Shaw.
Thank you. Thank you so much for all of this. It's really helpful. So I'm a solo agent, and as Bill said, most of us are, but I also think that it can help people that are growing teams. When somebody wants to move forward and expand, like you gave different transactions, what are some of the key things that you've seen that people have done, like maybe 2 or 3 things that help establish a new comfort zone with bringing people on, with leading at different levels?
Yes, important, very important, as I mentioned before, that you create a list of all the things that you're doing as a solo agent. Every single one of your tasks doesn't have to be documented. You just have to number them, whatever is it. And then you give a level of importance to every one of those tasks, and also an ROI. How much does it cost to perform these specific tasks? At least in my opinion, the tasks that I've seen that move the needle faster when you're a solo agent is calendar management and email management, right? Because you are out on the field, you get 10, 20 emails while you're on the field. Who the hell is responding to those? So one of the elements of my success is, and Bill can be a testament of this, I answer every single text and every single email within 1 hour. It doesn't matter. Every single text gets answered, every single email gets answered quickly. And when you're a sole agent, that becomes even more important, right? That every single email and every single text is being managed quickly. In order to do that, you need to have someone that is managing your email and your calendar. As well, what happens if you're out on the field and your next appointment cancels and you don't know because you are on the field? So you could, in theory, reschedule your time and focus on something else, but you're going to find out until you're out of that listed appointment, an hour, an hour and a half later, while your VA or your assistant, whoever that person is, can reroute your calendar and give you a quick text call, say, hey, this is what you need to do next because X and X cancel, right? Those are the two things that I believe are the most important things. And then the third one, in my opinion, is the TC part of it, right? Because if you are producing a lot, you don't have time for that paperwork shit. I mean, you need to be able to have someone to do all that for you on an efficient way. So, in order of importance for me is the third one, because I know that if someone does something incorrect on one of the steps of the TC part of things, it can be very damaging to yourself. But ultimately, that's where you want to go. You want to have someone that does all your transactions. You want to have someone that manages your calendar, manages your email, manages your text, and does customer service for you as well. How did it go on the transaction? Just a list of quick 5 questions. Did we meet your expectations? I mean, whatever those questions may be, you need to have someone that does a quick follow-up, because that quick follow-up means a lot to people. I wish every company that I go to gives me a quick text or a quick call of how things went. Because sometimes it's not perfect. Sometimes I want to give my opinion. But as long as if you can bear the pain of feedback and you can implement results and steps based on the feedback that you're receiving constantly, you're going to be unstoppable. And we all know that.
Amazing. Good. Guys, any other questions? Comments? Thank you. Appreciation. Justin, any questions from you, man? Justin's like, how do I get myself off mute? So I love it, man. So, well, hey, Sergio, thank you, brother. Like, absolutely a wealth of knowledge. Okay, I've got one. AI. How disruptive is AI going to be in the space of human analog freaking operations?
We're using it already. I've been using it for about 8 months now. So we're mostly using Manus AI and Claude AI. Those are the two that I've used for my client interaction. So for example, on the TC part of things, we created a step-by-step of all the major markets: California, Texas, New York, Virginia, Arizona, using Manus and Claude AI, so that a TC that is normally handling, let's say, 30 transactions can now handle double that amount, right? So what we're being able to achieve is that, our clients' TCs went from, probably 40, 50% more production. So they need less people essentially, right? For example, ChatGPT, I've used it on a different level. I think I mentioned this to you in the past, but I'm using ChatGPT for what I call my CEO persona. So what I did is I fed ChatGPT with every single one of my emails and texts, and I asked ChatGPT to create a CEO persona of myself so that when I'm not around, my managers can ask that persona, what would Sergio do in this situation? And, we tweak it a little bit, but it got to the point where it's like 90% accurate, 95% accurate. Where they're asking questions, and maybe I'm sick, I'm out, I'm at an event or a summit, whatever it is, and they can ask the persona, what would Sergio do in this situation? Help me, make a smart decision. So these are some of the things that I'm using right now in the AI space, right? Because I have right now over 250 employees. I have probably close to 30 managers in all the companies. So of course, as you know, I'm not going to be available for every one of them every single time they need me. So, but I managed to have them use that persona at least 50% of the times.
So basically, what I hear you saying is it's still going to be a necessity for human analog, right? Human beings, but they're going to be utilizing AI agents underneath them to be able to actually double or
Correct.
triple capacity.
Correct.
Right?
At least in my opinion, I don't think, I don't have a crystal ball, but I don't think AI is going to overtake 100% of things, not in the next 20 years or 30 years, right? I think there's just going to be tools to enhance, and there's going to be more production, more productivity overall. I think that's where it's going. It's going to be a tool to increase your productivity by 2x, 3x, 5x, 4x, whatever it is. And I already did it on myself because I have so many managers in all the different companies. And normally you will have to be answering every single text and every single call. But now they can just go to my persona and ask, what would Sergio do? If they're satisfied with the answer they're given, they just go on and make the decision, right? They're using it as a tool, but it has reduced about 50 or 60% of the interactions that I had with my managers.
Yeah. Not replacing, just enhancing and expanding, right? Like that's what AI is.
Enhancing and
It's not
expanding,
gonna-
I would say.
It's
Yes.
not gonna completely replace. Well, brother, thank you. Hey, G3 Nation, if you could give Sergio a big round of applause, man. Obviously,
Appreciate it. Thank you.
If they have interest in the services, your business, your company, whatever, they can find you on.
Yeah. So one of the things I do, and this is for everyone, I do coaching sessions for free about how to use VAs. So if you don't know how to use a VA and certain things, if you want to know what are the tools and how to operate with a VA, you're gonna find my calendar, and you can schedule a quick 30, 40-minute session with me. Come with all of your questions. I'll be way more than happy to answer all of them and just guide you through the process of how to do it, right? For my VA company, it's called VOOV, V as in Victor, OOV as in Victor again, is VOOV Virtual Assistants. If you just go to Google and you put VOOV Virtual Assistants, you're gonna find my calendar. You can just pick a time, a date, and talk to me about any VA needs that you have, including if you already have VAs from other companies, I don't care. If you want to know how to enhance your VA and how to make your relationship with your VA better, I have 200 of those that I'm ready using. I think I'm a little bit of an expert on that front.
Really
So I can teach you how to use them.
Fantastic, brother. Well, thanks for pouring into the ecosystem. Thanks for the support that you give the company. Thanks for the insight that you give the industry as well, too, man. And so it's always good to see good people winning, and you are. So, hey, crew, if you would please give Serge a big, thunderous thank you, round of applause, both here and in the chat. Right? We really do appreciate you, brother. And thank you again, G3 Nation. As you know, man, it's all about scalability, because eventually what happens is there's only 1,440 minutes in the day and you can't do it all. So I think we got a lot more insight here today, leaving this than we did coming into it. So appreciate you, brother, and appreciate all of you. We'll see you on the huddle tomorrow for those of you that'll be there, and we'll see you on the campfire next week. Thanks, guys. Have a great one.
And I'll see you, Bill, in level 7.
Level 7. Yes, baby. Sales power. Yeah. See you there, man. Thanks again.